season. It's been an interesting one, really.
It has, Rob, yep. And I mean, who would have known 2 months ago we were supposed to, in Canterbury anyway, be in the middle of a jolly drought. And we've had, I think, in January more rain than we've ever had. It's looking a picture. I was talking to one of my neighbours the other day and he said it's the spring that we didn't get.
That's a fair comment, actually.
No, it's brilliant. If you're a pastoral farmer, it's a fantastic season. If you're a cropping farmer, there's quite a few worrying signs on, in terms of trying to get the crops dry, trying to get them mature, and thirdly, trying to control the jolly weeds that are coming up through them. So the second growth. So the situation is that there's been quite a lot of the early brassicas and some of the early perennial ryegrass has been harvested, and quality seems to be pretty good. There's not a lot of cereals done, but I know further south in South Canterbury, for example, they had 100 mils of rain in one dollop in January, and that did cause quite a bit of sprout in the wheat and in the barley. So, yeah, some quality aspects I think will be a bit of a concern, and we just need another 2 or 3 weeks of fine weather, and that will make a big difference.
Because that really will, won't it? A bit of warmth.
Oh, hell yes. And I mean, really the important thing for us now is to have the right conditions to get that moisture down in those crops, because harvesting at high moisture contents creates another problem, and downstream we'll have problems with vigour and with germination and some of those problems. Yeah.
What's the scene globally? Because you've got your finger on the pulse.
Well, of course, they're in the middle of winter, and it's been quite interesting. I know in most of Western Europe they've had an extremely dry winter until basically this last month, and all of a sudden winter's appeared. The sentiment, I think, is quite cautious and yes, there's a fair level of caution, might I say. The wheat price is down, so arable crops are reduced in price. If you look at livestock, well, of course, the Europeans are clearly making hay while the sun shines in terms of milk production, because their milk production is well up, and that's obviously having some effect on us.
Absolutely.
If you look at it at the global situation. But from a seed business perspective, I think it's still quite positive. There are people buying seed and trading seed, and there seems to be good market demand in a number of the overseas countries. So that's very positive.
So the seed industry is still in pretty good heart.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And I mean, clearly, I think, in our own circumstance, we've had a pretty good year in terms of seed sales, like the spring. A lot of fodder beet went in the ground, and a lot of demand for those sort of crops. Quite a lot of repasturing in the southern half of the South Island, because it's principally a spring sowing season. I think we're all awaiting the autumn, because we've got to take account of the fact that our dairy farmers are under significant financial pressure.
Yeah, huge pressure, really.
And they're really having to limit their spend. But we're trying to encourage them to really look at, if they are going to spend on things that are of a productive, positive outcome. So like pasture, you plant and renew your pasture, well, you're going to get a positive outcome of that in terms of more feed going down the track. So, I totally support perhaps those sort of initiatives, but obviously capital expenditure will be things that they'll have to ease back on, because, you just haven't got the money to go around.
Is there still in the seed industry a lot of R&D going on?
Yes, there is. I think a lot of our R&D in the New Zealand and Australian context, certainly in New Zealand, is more related to the application or the applied R&D. There is quite a lot of work going on in plant breeding to look at improving endophytes, to improve quite a lot of the forage quality aspects. of grass. So yes, there is quite a lot going on, but I'd have to say, probably, to be fair, the government investment in forage R&D is significantly reduced, and so it's the private sector that is largely having to pick that up.
Yeah, and then of course they've got to try to get that back, don't they?
Yep.
Because you can't do it.
Yep.
You can't do it as a lost cause.
And that's probably why the research tends to be more applied. The blue sky stuff that you and I might want to see in 10 years' time is probably under a fair level of funding pressure. So, but a lot of the applied R&D, you know, how you take a product and you apply it in an agricultural sense, is still happening.
Because I'm quietly amused, but in a nice way, that you guys, Seed Force, have fodder, beet, coxford, chicory, you picked on some old-fashioned stuff, modified it to make it fit, and it's working really well.
Well, it's about, I think New Zealand, if I look at it pastorally, New Zealand agriculture has become very, very dependent on ryegrass white clover. Nothing wrong with that, but there are other species. If you look at resilience in your pastures and want to have a real extremely competent, strong pasture that's going to last for a number of years, you've got to look beyond ryegrass, because ryegrass got some deficiencies. And so Coxford, yes, some of the new breeding that's been done, RAGT, our partner in France, is probably world leading in terms of the quality of those that species. So we're trying to integrate those into our pasture systems. And subclover is another one that's coming back that was forgotten about.
Yeah,
but
that's right, I forgot
it's
about
got a
subclover.
lot of potential, and it'll persist in sort of the harder, drier situations a lot better than white clover will. So we're seeing farmers starting to accept and understand more how they can bring these pasture species into an overall pasture mix. And of course, fodder beet, well, fodder beet's old technology, Rob.
Yeah, I know, but by God, it works.
It's old technology that's basically been wound up again, and the key point of difference has been, in Europe it was used in a cut and carry system, quite expensive. We've taken it and adopted it into a pastoral feeding in situ situation, and yes, we've had to transition animals, and yes, we've had to understand how to work it and how to make it effectively utilisable, but it's been a success story.
It's what
phenomenal success story.
That's what Kiwis do. We take a good thing and we make it a lot better. Warwick.
And you'd be amazed how much inquiry we've had from places like South America, like US. Oh, shivers, we've heard about your this fodder beet. We've seen it being used in grazing situations. How do we do it? Wouldn't mind to do that.
Excellent.
Same old thing, eh?
Warwick, thank you very much indeed.